what are we talking about? The problem is what Mustapha summed up and went round in circles, contradicting him.
Doc, whilst you're at it, I'd like you to also address in your submission the people or those who say that it looks like the government is abusing the goodwill that they have so far because they think it is the perfect time to impose a tax, and if they did it any longer, it wouldn't have worked. You want to address that for me?
I will address that quickly. It is not abusing the goodwill they had. They never had any goodwill. The government is abusing the disgust at the last regime, which appears to be a goodwill for them, and they must learn. I'm telling you, 2017, I said certain things of the last regime to be careful of the artificial win of 2016. Just as I'm saying, mark it on the wall, 2024, the elections outcome was an artificial in nature if you do a thorough study of election patterns. But that is not the subject of this conversation. If they want, they can interrogate the figures, the data, and what it is saying. They were shocked at the numbers they had in Parliament. If he thinks that they actually worked for it, that's another matter. But let's deal with this issue. At the bottom of this matter is what Mustapha said and what Vicky has mentioned. We live in an era where we talk about collaborative leadership. No matter how visionary you are, no matter how altruistic you are, no matter how embracing you are, if you don't bring the people along to buy into something very good for them that you are pursuing, it may be misconstrued. You have mentioned the stakeholder engagement. It's the way out. Do you think we will be talking about this after the fact if people had been engaged thoroughly? The problem with E-Levy, if you care to know, it's not about who was in charge. It was about the poor management of stakeholders. And you want to follow that same line? For me, you have given a very good rationale or reasoning that everybody in this country would have bought into. That look, we are experiencing a plummeting or downflow of the figures in the oil sector. We have a huge debt there that we have to clear. Let's take advantage of this period in the circumstances, and that's why Vicky's point about the sunset clause in the bill that was passed under certificate of urgency would have, included all these things. I believe that nobody will be talking. As she said, we have already started paying it. Yeah. But why are you now asking after the fact for them to go and engage? Because it was necessary. And so when we make admissions, it makes governance very good. There won't be any long lecture.
And people even appreciate it.
People will appreciate it. Yeah. People will not see you as arrogant. And most of us, I want to say this. Look, MFA, yeah. I sit here as a politician, and I have mentioned that people have issues with how I even explain. I used to be partisan, and I ran to be the chief executive of a political party. Since 2020, I said I will no longer be partisan, and I quit the political party I joined. But I'm still politically active, making political statements, and I will take political positions. However anybody will construe it, I'm saying that I will not be partisan. But even me sitting here, and all of us, sometimes including the media, the Ghanaian populace have doubts as to the sincerity of what we say, even on air. It is some of these things. When you don't involve the people and you think that you know how they live better than them, they watch you. And the moment we lose confidence in our public space, we are on autopilot that you were talking about. In this country, what are the values? Where are the limits? Where are the benchmarks? That we will say that even among thieves, there is honor. You can steal from anybody. But when you steal from a fellow thief, they say you've crossed the red line. They will deal with you and kill you. Do we have that in our public space? That our public office holders, when we are saying certain things, we show that, oh, we are disagreeing on all matters, but as for this one, we are agreeing on that. We need to have those standards in our conversations. I don't think that there will ever be a government that can say that it is without fault. But have we ever seen a government admit its faults in its tenure? As if we are running and ruling with angels. It defeats the purpose of collective governance. So I plead that if we are all admitting that the absence of stakeholder engagement ahead of passing this thing was a deficiency, was a mistake, let's admit it and move on. Lastly, we still have it in our books, a law and a tax regime to clear off energy sector debt. That is ESLA. It was passed by former President Mahama when he was in his first term. I'm advisedly using former President Mahama because as he then was in 2015, as at that time. Yeah. He passed it when he was president. Now he's come back and we are introducing another energy sector debt cleanup under a new tax regime. What becomes of the two? Could we not have maintained ESLA with some adaptations?
I'll explain that to you.
No, I'm just saying that if we had a stakeholder engagement without seeing it as a new tax regime, but whatever it is, we have done it. It is now law. If anybody feels that it was improperly done or unconstitutionally followed, I think that at this stage it is the courts that can address that. But until then, I want to advise that going forward, what Ghanaians want to see is this. There must be accountability of the taxes that they pay. What our monies are used for. It should be transparent, it should be open, and people who handle the purse must be accountable. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, and just I want to actually re-emphasize that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because that was a point that I wanted to make as well. NDC has a lot of goodwill at the moment with Ghanaians, and it's important that they carry Ghanaians along throughout the 4 years. And so for this particular matter, I think transparency is paramount. They should explain, and then they should carry all Ghanaians along through transparency and also explaining to all of us how the money is being utilized. Because Ghanaians are willing, we're all willing to pay. I mean, we want to see our country prosper, but we have to understand certain things. And we have to also be convinced that this is what the money, that what the government says is going to use the money for is what is being used for, and we'll all support it. You know.
Mustapha, just hold it there for me. Stay with me. Let me go on the line and engage Smile Agbamanu. He is Chief Revenue Officer, Customs Policy and Programs Department. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. So we just want to understand the modalities of this new tax that you're going to be implementing. Initially, we thought it was going to start today, but we're learning that it will be starting on the 16th of June. Please bring us to speed with the modalities.
Okay, good morning to you and to your cherished viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning. The act implementing... Hello, can I be heard?
Absolutely. Please go on.
Thank you. The act we're implementing is the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Act 2015 Act 1141. This act was assented to by the President on the 4th of this month. Normally for petroleum listings, we have put them into two price windows. One, it starts on the 1st up to the 15th of the month, and then from the 16th to the end of month. Many of the policies are implemented during the start of any of the price windows, either the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month. The reason for which you mentioned that we are expecting to implement this policy on the 16th of this month. That is the start of the new price window. I mentioned the start of the new price window because that is when NPA engages with the OMCs to determine the price range at which products are to be sold at the pumps or at the filling stations. Factors that NPA consider include government taxes, and also include exchange rate differentials and other factors. So when we commit the new tax to NPA then adds this one into the price builder and communicates to the oil marketing companies how much they are expected to sell the product at the pumps or at the filling stations. Our mandate is to collect the expected revenue in accordance with the Act. You recall we implemented a new Act, which was a consolidation of all the various acts under the energy sector levy. Initially, DRA was collecting some of the taxes, and then the National Petroleum Authority was also collecting another. So in 2025 this year again, start of this month, government thought it wise to consolidate all these taxes and then assign all of them as the tax for collecting by DRA. So NPA ceased to be collecting what they used to collect as the price stabilization levy. The price stabilization levy, the sanitation and pollution levy, the energy sector recovery levy, and all those taxes have been consolidated into one tax, which is the energy sector shortfall levy.
Okay.
So this is what had been increased by 1 cedi for some products and for some of them by 20 Ghana pesos.
Okay.
So if you look at petrol, if you look at diesel, as we popularly known, they have been increased by 1 cedi. So what we do is to, one, configure the system that we use for the administration of petroleum liftings and payment to add the 1 cedi collection per liter to it, which GRA has done. 2 is to issue a Commissioner General's directive, which we call the Tariff Interpretative Order. That details the intention of government, the implementation of the Act, and how we are expected to collect the Act, and which of the products it affects. That has also been issued, and in that one also comes with the start date of the implementation by GRA, which has been communicated as the 16th of this month. Then we direct the oil marketing companies, we direct the officers themselves who are also at the depots, what exactly is expected of them. So every concerned stakeholder will be notified through this tariff interpretative order, which has been done. Another engagement that we do with the stakeholders is to have an engagement with the oil marketing companies. In fact, over the weekend, it was expected to have been done beyond the publication and all those ones, but they have deferred it to this week. So we are expecting either to hold a discussion with them by tomorrow, just explaining further the Commissioner General's Tariff Interpretative Order that regards the collection of the additional 1 cedi for super and diesel and for the other 20 pesos.
Okay.
This does not include kerosene because kerosene has not been increased with regards to this new act.
Right.
So these are the things that we have put in place. But let me also indicate that we already have the structures with them. So nothing is changing except for the additional 1 cedi collection for super and diesel, and then 20 peso collection for those other affected. But nothing really is changing. It's something that we have gone through with them over the period. So they are familiar with, and they know this is how we implement. Thank you.
Right. I mean, this question will be actually from Doug, only if you can hear him. But let me just ask you anyway. Doug wants to know whether if this amends ESLA in any way.
Yes. So I mentioned from the beginning that the energy sector, in fact, the Energy Sector Levies Act, 2016 Act 1035.
Yeah.
What it did was 1135. Sorry, Act 1135. What it did was to consolidate all the other taxes that we were collecting under ETLA. And I've mentioned, to be specific, those that GRA was collecting and those that NPA was collecting, which was the price stabilization. So GRA was collecting the road fund levy, the energy fund levy, and then the energy debt recovery levy, which was into 3 parts. Then we were collecting the sanitation and pollution levy. So all these acts were repealed, and then they introduced the energy debt recovery levy 2015 at 1135.
Okay.
Then they consolidated all those ones into now 3 taxes under ETLA. These 3 taxes specifically are the energy fund levy, the road fund levy, and now the energy sector shortfall and debt payment levy. So the energy shortfall and debt payment levy is what has been increased by 1 cedi for super, that's petrol or diesel, and then 20 pesos for other products, excluding kerosene.
Okay. Okay. Ismail, I hear you clearly, because then you are an implementing body, and so you would have to be implementing the law or the levy. But, I mean, you mentioned NPA, you mentioned oil marketing companies. We've got a few days to 16th. You have mentioned some sorts of engagements. Have you had an extensive engagement that you think will be very effective from the 16th of June?
Thank you. So you'll notice that even in the industry, from the government side, we have players. So we have the ministry itself, who does their own engagement. We have the National Petroleum Authority, who meet with the OMC to determine the price range within which they'll be selling the product at the pumps. And then we have GRA as another government agency for the collection of the tax. So, yes, I'm not speaking for the ministry, but I understand the ministry had engagement with the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. I know NPA does this engagement because they needed to determine the price window, price amount for which they are supposed to sell them. And then for GRA, we have several forms of engagement. One which I mentioned is the communication of the order or the directive from the Commissioner General to them, which had been done. In that spells out the details of the tax and how or the modality for its collection. And I mentioned that we have already done this just the start of this month. So this is just an increase to some of the taxes. So the modality for its collection and then all those changes have been done. It is just for this particular increase that we are talking about. So we are expecting to continue an engagement with the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, reaching out to their members within the week, prior to the implementation by the 16th of this month.